The night began quietly with no expectation of storms, yet within a few hours the industry found itself shaken to its core. Shen Yue, usually known for her warmth and quiet nature, had sent a message so unexpected that it left Xiao Zhan frozen, his hands trembling as he read each word. No one outside their circle knew exactly what was written at first, but whispers hinted that it was a confession, a plea, and a revelation all at once. Xiao Zhan had been in the middle of a late-night rehearsal when his phone lit up. He almost ignored it, but the name across the screen stopped him cold.
Shen Yue.
He swiped quickly, and the words appeared like lightning on a dark sky. She told him she could no longer carry the silence. She told him that the weight of keeping everything hidden was destroying her. And most shocking of all, she asked if he had ever felt what she felt that one night years ago when they were alone after filming. His chest tightened. He read the message 3 times before his knees buckled slightly. The crew around him noticed his sudden change, the way his face paled and his eyes widened, but no one dared ask. He pocketed his phone and excused himself, stepping outside into the cold air where he could finally breathe. The city lights blurred as his mind raced. He whispered her name under his breath, as though saying it out loud would make sense of what had just happened. What Xiao Zhan did not know was that only a few hours later Wang would be spotted with Bai Lu, and the connection between these two events would spiral into chaos. Dylan had not planned for the cameras. He had not even planned to meet Bai Lu that evening, yet circumstances pulled them together. Sources claimed he looked restless, his expression tense, and when Bai Lu appeared at his side they walked together in silence, the space between them heavy with unspoken truth. Bai Lu's presence added fuel to an already raging fire. She looked composed, yet her eyes betrayed her. They shimmered with something fragile, as though she carried secrets too heavy to hold. Fans snapped pictures quickly, and within minutes the images spread across every platform. Dylan and Bai Lu, walking side by side at night, only hours after Shen Yue's mysterious message to Xiao Zhan. Inside the industry, insiders began connecting the dots. Some whispered that Dylan knew about the message before the public did, that his meeting with Bai Lu was not chance but reaction. Others believed it was a deliberate attempt to draw attention away from Shen Yue and Xiao Zhan. But the truth, as always, was far more complicated. In reality, Dylan had been restless all evening. He had sensed something shifting in Shen Yue's world, a change in the air around her. When Bai Lu called, her voice soft yet urgent, he agreed to meet without hesitation. They met near an old cafe, where few people went at that hour. She spoke quickly, telling him that secrets were spilling faster than anyone could contain them. She told him that Shen Yue had crossed a line by sending Xiao Zhan that message. Dylan's fists clenched at her words, though he did not raise his voice. He simply stared at the ground, trying to steady the storm inside him. Bai Lu's tone softened then, almost breaking. She confessed that she too had once written a message she never sent, that she too had loved silently, and that she feared what might come next if everything was exposed. Dylan looked at her then, his jaw tight, his eyes heavy with something deeper than anger. He said that once the first truth escapes, the rest cannot be contained. He said they were all standing on a cliff edge, and one more step could destroy everything. At the same time, Xiao Zhan sat in his apartment replaying Shen Yue's message in his mind. He considered replying, but every word he typed he deleted again. His heart wanted to answer, but his mind screamed about consequences. When his phone buzzed again, he thought it was her, but instead it was a notification, a headline showing Dylan and Bai Lu together. He stared at the image, the timing almost cruel, as though fate itself wanted to twist the knife deeper. The city did not sleep that night. Fans debated furiously, the media spun wild theories, and every corner of the internet buzzed with speculation. Some claimed Shen Yue's message to Xiao Zhan was a declaration of love. Others insisted it was a cry for help. Some believed Dylan's meeting with Bai Lu was pure coincidence. Others believed it was the beginning of betrayal. But for the 4 of them, it was not about headlines or rumors. It was about emotions that had been buried for too long. Shen Yue sat by her window, staring at her phone, waiting for a reply that never came. Xiao Zhan lay on his couch, his heart torn between silence and truth. Dylan walked the empty streets after leaving Bai Lu, his mind replaying every moment he had shared with Shen Yue, wondering if he had already lost her. And Bai Lu returned home, closing her door behind her, whispering into the darkness that she wished she had been brave enough to speak sooner. That night ended not with answers, but with silence. A silence so heavy it carried across oceans, into the hearts of fans, and into the stories that would be told for weeks to come. The unexpected message, the late-night meeting, the photos that changed everything, and 4 hearts caught in a storm that none of them could escape. The night after Shen Yue's message leaked, the silence across the drama community felt heavy, almost suffocating, as if every fan and every star was holding their breath waiting for the next move. Xiao Zhan had been caught on camera standing alone outside the studio lot, staring at his phone with a stillness that felt unnatural, his expression unreadable, yet his clenched jaw spoke louder than any words could. The paparazzi lenses tried to capture his face, but the truth was that his reaction was far beyond what a single frame could hold. This was not just shock, it was something deeper, something torn between disbelief and fear of what that message could mean. Inside another part of the city, Wang was seen stepping out of a black car, the streetlights flickering above him like some strange warning. His head was lowered, his steps hesitant, and yet he carried himself with the weight of someone who had already made a choice. What startled everyone was who waited for him at the corner of the narrow alley by Lu. She was dressed in a long coat, her eyes sharp yet wounded, her posture tense, as though she had been rehearsing this meeting in her mind for hours. When Dylan approached, their shadows collided before their bodies did, and for a moment it seemed like they were strangers, standing on 2 sides of a line that neither wanted to cross. Shen Yue, meanwhile, was nowhere to be found. Her team denied she was even in the city, but whispers from insiders claimed she had locked herself in a hotel suite near the waterfront, her phone switched off, her tears staining pages of a journal she never let anyone read. The message she had sent Xiao Zhan was brief, yet heavy, and those who claimed to have seen it said it was the kind of line that shatters hearts and exposes years of hidden pain. Some speculated it was a confession, others believed it was an apology, and a few dared to suggest it was a goodbye. Back in the alley, BaiLu finally broke the silence. Her voice, steady but fragile, asked Dylan one simple question. "Why are you here?" Dylan's response was not immediate. His lips parted, his eyes darkened, and for a second he looked as though he might turn and walk away, but then he whispered something only she could hear. Cameras captured none of it, but BaiLu's face told the story. Her breath caught, her eyes softened, then hardened again, as if she had just been given a truth she both wanted and feared. At the same time, Xiao Zhan had retreated indoors, away from the blinding lights of the cameras. Sources revealed that he had tried calling Shen Yue multiple times, but every call went unanswered. In frustration, he slammed his phone on the table and muttered a line that sent chills through everyone who overheard. "If she is telling the truth, then nothing will ever be the same." That sentence, carried by the wind of rumor, spread across the internet like wildfire. Fans speculated endlessly about what truth Shen Yue had sent him, and why Dylan's sudden appearance with BaiLu had happened only hours later. What made everything more unbearable was that Dylan and BaiLu were not caught in some playful or romantic scene. They stood apart, rigid, their faces etched with the kind of emotions people only show when something has broken inside. Dylan looked devastated, BaiLu looked betrayed, and in between them hung an invisible string tied to Shen Yue's silence. When Dylan finally turned to leave, BaiLu's hand shot out, grabbing his sleeve, her voice trembling as she asked him if he had already chosen. The weight of that question lingered in the night air, heavy, unforgiving, almost cruel. The city seemed to pause in that moment. Lights dimmed, traffic slowed, and the alley where they stood became the stage for a scene that would echo across every fan forum and news outlet by morning. Dylan did not answer her right away. His shoulders shook, his breath unsteady, and though the cameras could not see his face, those who stood nearby swore that his eyes glistened with unshed tears. He finally pulled his arm away, but his words, low and broken, carried enough force to freeze even the coldest heart. He said, "It is not about choosing, it is about surviving this." That line spread almost instantly, quoted across headlines, dissected in countless posts, replayed in fan edits that flooded the internet before dawn. It was a sentence that revealed both love and despair, both longing and regret. And while Dylan walked away into the shadows, BaiLu stood frozen in place, her hand still reaching for him, her face a canvas of heartbreak and disbelief. Meanwhile, Xiao Zhan's silence grew louder, his absence heavier, and Shen Yue's disappearance more haunting. The message she had sent was no longer just a rumor. It was the match that set fire to relationships, friendships, and truths too fragile to survive the light. And so, by morning, the world was left with three broken threads: Dylan's retreat, BaiLu's unanswered question, Xiao Zhan's frozen silence, and Shen Yue's vanishing act. Together they formed a storm that no one saw coming, and everyone feared the worst. The morning after the storm, Xiao Zhan finally found Dylan. The room was quiet, the air thick, as if even the walls were bracing themselves for what was about to unfold. Dylan looked exhausted, his eyes rimmed with the weight of a night he could not escape, but Xiao Zhan's gaze was sharper, fueled not by anger, but by a desperate need for answers. Without hesitation, Xiao Zhan asked him one question: "Was Shen Yue's message about you?" The silence that followed was brutal, cutting through the room like a blade, and Dylan's hesitation was answer enough. His lips parted, but no sound came out, only the glimmer of tears in his eyes betraying the truth he could not speak. Xiao Zhan's fists clenched at his sides, his voice breaking as he whispered, "Then you have already taken everything." Dylan tried to step forward, tried to explain, but Xiao Zhan turned away, leaving the room with a look that promised nothing would ever return to what it once was. In that moment, the fracture became permanent. Shen Yue's message had not only shattered one bond, it had created a rift that even time might never heal.